I only took the job to feed my kids. I didn't expect to be feeding something else. They say desperate times call for desperate measures. That's how I ended up on a remote property deep in Pine Hollow, Oregon, a place barely on the map, where the forest swallows up sound and cell signal alike. My name's Bethany, but everyone calls me Beth. I was 38 when this happened, with my husband barely picking up odd jobs and our pantry running empty too many nights. I had no choice. I needed steady income, fast. So when my old friend Ellen called me about a live-in housekeeping job, I said yes without even asking too many questions. The pay's great, and they need someone ASAP. You'd be taking care of the daughter. She's sick and can't walk. Pretty easy work. Sounded simple enough. The estate was a looming mansion hidden at the end of a winding dirt road. Trees framed the driveway like silent guards. It was beautiful but cold. Almost off. Ellen introduced me to Mrs. Carmichael, the matriarch. Elegant but strict, she explained my duties plainly.
You'll only be responsible for Lena, our daughter. She's confined to her room and needs assistance getting to the bathroom and bathing. You'll prep her meals, help her dress, but leave her alone while she washes, understand?
Yes, ma'am, I replied.
You'll also never open her windows, she added. She's extremely sensitive to sunlight.
That raised my brow, but I nodded. The pay really was too good to question it.
And one last thing, she said. You are to leave Lena's room before 6 p.m. Do not return until morning, understood?
Yes, but why? She didn't answer. She just smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. That night, Ellen and I settled into the maid's quarters. Is it always this strict? I asked. Ellen shrugged. It's best to just follow the rules here. Something about her tone made my skin crawl. She leaned closer. Lena's the kind one. It's her twin, Laura. You don't want to cross. She lives here too? She comes and goes, Ellen whispered. You'll know when she's around. My first night, I couldn't sleep. Around midnight, I heard footsteps running across the floor above me, fast and heavy like someone chasing someone else. Then, snarling, like two animals fighting. I froze. Maybe they have cats? I told myself that. I wanted to believe that. But the house was silent the rest of the day. No sign of pets, no mention of cats. And Lena, well, she didn't seem capable of much movement. The next morning I met Lena. She was pale, thin, but warm, smiled often, talked like a child, despite being in her 20s. She praised me constantly for helping her, said I was her favorite already. It was sweet, maybe too sweet. One afternoon as I helped her bathe, she held my waist for support, but then she didn't let go. She leaned in, sniffing me. Her nose hovered over my belly. Sweetie? Her eyes flicked up to meet mine. They were red, not bloodshot, not irritated, red. She blinked, and they returned to normal. I yanked away. She flinched, mumbled an apology. I brushed it off, but my hands trembled the rest of the day. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I opened the tiny window just a crack for some air. That's when I heard it. A gasping, raspy breath, outside. I peeked through the slit in the curtain. A woman crouched near the edge of the woods, facing away, rocking back and forth. Her hair was wild. Her body twitched as if she was eating. I squinted, trying to see more. Then, she snapped her head around, directly toward me. Her face was inhuman. Wide, bulging eyes, wet, snarling mouth, flesh dripping from her lips. I ducked instantly. My heart pounded so loud I was sure she could hear it. When I peeked again, she was gone. But I knew who it was. It was Laura, Lena's twin. They say curiosity kills the cat. But in my case, it just about killed me. After that terrifying glimpse of Laura in the yard, I did everything I could to pretend nothing happened. I needed this job. My kids back home were depending on me. Still, the next morning I was shaken. As I delivered breakfast to Lena, I couldn't help but notice her clothes. The hem of her nightgown was filthy, mud-caked and torn, like she had been crawling outside all night. But that was impossible. Lena couldn't even walk without help. I tried to be casual. Rough night, sweetie? Looks like you got into a mess. She didn't answer, just stared at me, then at my belly. It made me shiver. Later that afternoon, I was cleaning Lena's room while she dozed off. That's when I noticed something strange, a smell. faint, metallic, like raw meat. It was coming from under her bed. I crouched down and pulled up the bed skirt. What I saw made me recoil. A chunk of raw meat, bloody, fresh, wrapped in nothing but a soiled napkin. I immediately wrapped it in a plastic bag and turned to Lena. "Why was there meat under your bed?" I asked softly. She just blinked at me, lips slightly parted. Her eyes watered, but she didn't say a word. I wasn't sure if I should be angry or scared. That night I asked Ellen about it. She shrugged.
Don't overthink it. Maybe the cook dropped it, or maybe Mrs. Bertha was saving it for the dogs or something.
But I could tell even she didn't believe that. As days passed, Lena became more attached. She started reaching for me more often, staring at me longer. One time she even asked if she could sleep in my bed. "No, sweetheart," I said gently. "You have your own room." Her smile vanished. That evening, as I cleaned up after dinner, I heard shouting upstairs. A woman's voice, angry, shrill, threatening. I rushed to Lena's room, terrified something had happened. When I opened the door, Laura was there, towering over her sister, screaming. Lena sat on the bed, trembling, crying.
"She ate again, didn't she?" Laura hissed. "You stupid little freak, you promised not to!"
I stood frozen in the doorway. Laura turned, eyes blazing, and growled at me.
"Clean her up, now."
Her hands were stained with something dark. I wasn't sure if it was dirt or blood. Then she stormed out. I looked at Lena. Her hands were red too. Later, as I wiped her down, Lena whispered, "I'm sorry. I tried to be good." "Good about what, sweetie?" She didn't answer. Instead, she hugged me. Tight, too tight. Then she whispered against my neck, "I like the sound your heart makes." That night I locked my door. Then I shoved a chair under the knob. I kept the lights on, but even with all that, around 2 a.m. I woke up. Something was scratching at the door, slow, deliberate, like long nails dragging across wood. Then came the voice, soft, sweet. "Beth, open up, I need to talk to you." It was Lena, or at least it sounded like her. I held my breath. Then the voice changed. It grew deeper, hungrier, not Lena's at all. "Open the door, Beth. I can smell it. I know what's inside you." My hands flew to my stomach. That's when it clicked. Oh God, I was pregnant. I couldn't sleep the rest of that night. I sat on the edge of the bed, listening, waiting, praying. The scratching at the door had stopped hours ago, but the fear remained, curled in my stomach like a parasite. I kept replaying that voice, first sweet, then monstrous. It sounded like Lena, but something inside me screamed it wasn't. And now, the worst part, I knew. I was pregnant, 2 months at least. No wonder I was tired all the time. No wonder I felt weird, bloated, off. I'd chalked it up to stress, homesickness, adjusting to this creepy place. But the moment that voice whispered, "I can smell it," it was like my body remembered, and I wasn't the only one who could smell it. The next morning, I stumbled through my routine like a ghost. I didn't tell Ellen, I didn't even speak. I just nodded when spoken to, kept my head down, and forced myself to bring Lena her breakfast like I always did. But when I opened her door, she was already sitting up, waiting. Her gown was dirty again, mud streaked across the sleeves, leaves tangled in her hair, and her eyes were bloodshot, not just tired, not just sick, ravenous. She smiled slowly, like she could taste the fear on my skin. "Good morning," she said softly. I swallowed hard. Did you leave your room last night?" She tilted her head. "No, I can't walk, remember?" But her lips twitched, like she was fighting a laugh. I set her food down. She didn't touch it. "You're not eating?" I asked. She looked at my belly. "I'm not hungry." That afternoon, while cleaning the hallway upstairs, I found something in the linen closet, a pile of clothes, stained with blood, torn, shredded like something had clawed through them. At first I thought maybe it was old laundry, maybe from a butcher or farmhand. But these were uniforms, maid uniforms. Some were even labeled with names, women who had worked here before me. A pit formed in my stomach. I backed away from the closet, shut the door, and ran to the back porch to get some air. That's when I met her. Mrs. Florence, a hunched, wrinkled woman selling herbs and root vegetables down by the edge of the road. I'd seen her before from a distance, but never spoken to her until now. "You work up in that house?" she asked, squinting up at me. I nodded cautiously. You're pregnant, she said matter-of-factly. You need to leave. What? I blinked. She leaned in, whispering like a secret. They're not human, not anymore. That girl up there, the quiet one, they say she took the burden from her mother. The curse. You understand? I shook my head. The sickness, it's not real. It's hunger. The girl can't control it when she smells life forming. That's why the other ones left. Or disappeared. My mouth went dry. You have to leave before the full moon, she said, gripping my arm with surprising strength. Or she'll rip the child out of you. I didn't even make it back inside the house before Mrs. Carmichael was waiting for me on the porch. You spoke to her? She said, voice ice cold. I froze. She's a gossip, a lunatic. If she told you anything about my daughter, forget it. I nodded slowly, avoiding her eyes. Just keep doing your job, Beth, she added, and stay in your room tonight. That night, I locked myself in again, chair under the knob, closet door jammed, windows latched. But around 3 a.m., I woke up to a smell, rotten meat, sulfur, like something had died under my bed. Then I heard it, something breathing, not outside, inside, under the bed. I sat up slowly, my hands trembled, the breathing got louder, wet, hungry. I reached for the lamp. Click, nothing, dead bulb. I held my breath. Then, the voice right beneath me. Beth, I'm so hungry. I didn't move, couldn't breathe. That voice, that growl, it was right beneath me. My hand hovered over the edge of the bed, paralyzed. Then I heard it, scratching. Slow, deliberate claws dragging along the wooden underside of my mattress. Beth, it whispered again. I can smell the heartbeat. That was it. I leapt off the bed, hit the floor hard, and scrambled for the door. But the second I pulled the knob, it wouldn't budge, locked, from the outside. No, 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 I muttered, tugging harder, slamming my shoulder into the door. Behind me I heard the creak of the bed, something rising. She was in the room. I spun around. Lena was standing, fully, unaided. Her legs, twisted and pale, now flexed and moving like she'd never been injured at all. Her nightgown hung loose, her skin wet with sweat and, God, blood. Your heart, she whispered, tilting her head like an animal. It's beating so fast. How are you standing? I gasped. She smiled. I was never paralyzed. That was just to keep me close, to make it easier when the hunger comes. I backed into the corner. Please, I'm pregnant, don't. I know, she said, her voice cracking like broken glass. That's why I begged them to let you stay. And then she lunged. I don't remember the next few seconds clearly. There was screaming, slashing. I think I grabbed the lamp and smashed it into her face. I think I kicked. I know I bled a lot, but something stopped her. A voice. Mrs. Carmichael's. Lena, enough! Just like that, she froze, mid-lunge, shaking, her body contorted, her head twitching like a glitching machine. You'll kill the child, her mother warned. You know what happens if you feed too early. Lena collapsed. I fainted. I woke up hours later. Mrs. Carmichael stood at the foot of my bed, somber, almost gentle. You can't stay here anymore, she said. It's not safe for you, or the baby. She placed a thick envelope in my hand. It was heavy. Money. You were the first to survive this long, she added. You should be proud of that. I couldn't speak. You'll leave before sunrise, she said. You won't tell anyone, for your own sake. I nodded. Weak, shaking, broken. She leaned down and whispered into my ear, she only eats the ones she loves. Ellen escorted me back to the town limits without saying a word. And I never saw her again. I had the baby, a little girl, healthy, beautiful. But sometimes, at night, when the room is quiet and the air is still, she stares out the window with red glinting in her eyes and sniffs the air. If you made it this far, you're officially one of us. Subscribe for more true horror stories like this, because what's coming next is even darker.